You're just moments away from a brand new episode of WTF Nations Radio's Pop Culture Warrior, hosted by the dynamic duo CQ and Radar. Pop Culture Warrior is your number one source for all things entertainment. If it's happening in TV, movies, video games, or comedy, they're all over it. And don't forget to say hi in the comments below. And while you're at it, let the boys know what you think and what you'd like to hear them talk about. Now strap in and get comfortable, because you're in for one hell of a ride. This is Pop Culture Warrior. Shots.
Broadcasting live from the basement of the Pentagon. This is WTF Nation Radio.
What's up, everybody? We're back.
We back.
Sorry, folks. Sorry, folks. Apologies. Yeah, we apparently we did a no. Apparently we shared something we weren't supposed to share, and it upset people. I don't know. I'm sorry. Thanks for hanging out with us, though. We are. I'm just getting everything ready for our guest. He's preparing for his appearance. So in just a minute, we're gonna toss it to a very short break and then bring our guest right back in. It's one of those things, you know. What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do, right? I mean, I don't know. I appreciate all you guys for checking us out. Our phenomenal guest here, Anthony All right, I'm gonna take short break. Hang in with it. 4 minutes tops. We're gonna get our guest, and we're gonna bring him right back. We're gonna do an awesome interview. All right, guys. See you in a minute.
Tight.
The voice of U.S. Army, WTF Moments. This is WTF Nation Radio.
Hey everybody, welcome back. Thank you guys for hanging out with us tonight. I know it's been an interesting night so far, but it's about to get even more interesting. I'm super excited, as you can tell. We have a phenomenal guest for you guys tonight, and I'm so excited. I have so many things I want to ask and dive into. So without further ado, our next guest was born and raised in Honolulu, Hawaii. He went on to receive his Bachelor of the Fine Arts degree, and this was 6,000 miles away at Boston University. He's played memorable characters in films like Starship Troopers, with his breakout role coming in 1999 into the show, the paramedic action drama series Third Watch, Carlos Nieto. After that, he remained in the drama genre, usually playing police officer, detective, FBI agent. He's been in shows like Traveler, Quantico, Numbers, Criminal Minds, CSI, Lie to Me. He's also been the voice of Batman for DC and Nighthawk for Marvel. You can currently see him palling around with a pooch on the Disney Plus series Turner and Hooch. That rhymes. Please, everyone, give a big warm welcome for my guest tonight, Mr. Anthony Ruivivar. I knew I was gonna mess this up. Ruivivar. God damn it. Ruivivar.
There you go.
Ruivivar. I can do this. I'm so sorry. I apologize.
No, man, that was go time. And, you know.
We did the phonetic in the break. I'm like, all right, give it to me phonetically. I want to nail it.
Yeah. We worked on it, and then you blew it.
I was a grunt.
Okay.
I was a grunt in the military.
No, I mean, I would do the same thing with your last name. So we're all good.
Awesome. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. The audience is hyped for you to be here. They're so excited. We've been hyping you up and talking about some of your work. So very excited.
I'm so psyched. Yeah, super psyched.
Yes. So right out of the gate, first question I want to ask you is, we're military affiliated, kind of themed show. What is your connection to the military?
Yeah, I personally haven't served, but my family on my mom's side, they have all served. A lot of them are West Point graduates, and then were officers in the military and have gone on to do public service in the government sector, everywhere from FEMA to FBI to CIA. So. Yeah, on my mom's side, definitely lineage of service.
That's awesome.
And my father actually was, kind of brought over from the Philippines in the hull of a ship, during the war. So he's a refugee that benefited from servicemen and women. So.
That's
for
awesome.
Sure.
No, that's fantastic. I love to hear that. It's a great connector. I mean, everybody, as a military veteran myself and so many other vets, you can sometimes feel a little disconnected from the civilian sector, and then you have to be reminded once in a while that, like, hey, we are all kind of connected, whether it's family, friends, that kid I knew in high school, whatever. So it's awesome when we get to see those.
I've been lucky enough, and not that it's ever been a substitute, but I've been fortunate enough to play a lot of military cops, FBI. I've been lucky enough to, in this new show that I'm in, Turner and Hooch, I'm marshals. So I've been lucky enough to train right along with, get really close and personal, and do some serious training early on in my career and throughout my career with some amazing people. I mean, I even when I did Starship Troopers, I was training with Captain Dale Dye, who did all the tech stuff for Saving Private Ryan and all Spielberg stuff. So right from the jump, I know Starship Troopers was what it was. It was still a space movie, but we Captain Dye kind of like ran us through, sorties and we camped out. We did like a Hollywood boot camp, but to us,
sure,
it was like
sure.
we knew how to disassemble and assemble the weapons that we were using, so we had some basic training, and that just kind of kept going on in my career. So as a result, I feel more comfortable kind of playing that sector.
Sure.
Right, like rather than the civilian sector. So I find that super interesting.
Absolutely. No, I've got some notes here, man. I've done a deep dive and like I mean, you've made a career almost of this and I'm jumping ahead in my notes but I just love it. Like you play the man so well, you know what I mean? So I'm curious, since we're gonna touch on that, and then I'll go back to what my other thoughts were. But for you are a person of color, right? You are a non-white individual in Hollywood and in the entertainment industry. So for you to play all these positions of power, right? Lieutenants, captains, generals, marshals, U.S. agents, I mean, detective, lieutenant, all of it. Like, what does that kind of mean to you to represent, other than white, but in a position of power? Like, what does that mean to you?
Yeah, I mean, shit. Like the first auditions I went out on were like, I'll take what's behind the register and let's pack them Marlboro Ultra Lights. You know what I mean? Like, so it was all that. Like that's all that was like not all that was available, but that's pretty much what was available for working actors to kind of start out with and cut their teeth. Like that's how you kind of had to start. And so, I did a few of those and cut my teeth, and then, I did a film called Speed of Life with Scott Kahn, where I played this drug dealer, and it was like I wasn't the perfect role. I wasn't the perfectly cast for that role, but they cast me because they saw something like just odd and different that wasn't typical. And I think that was kind of the way that I always approached kind of those roles, is like to never, I don't know, to never go for like the cliche, right? Because to me, the cliche was just giving people what they thought or what they thought people were about. But ultimately, whether you're a gangbanger or whether you're like a drug kingpin or, a villain or whatever, it's like there's a human being behind that. And so if you really key into what makes people tick and what motivates them and what makes them want to do what they do, and really take their objectives seriously and not just say, oh, well, he's just a drug dealer, or he's just, I remember I did a soap early on, and like I was an addict, right? Of course, in the soap. And, each week I did it, they were changing the drug that I was on. And I was like, guys, 1 week I'm like a crackhead, and then I'm addicted to meth, and then next I'm cokehead, or now I'm smoking weed. Yeah. Like, and I was like, there's different these. If you're addicted to these drugs, there's different. They manifest in a different way, and the direction was, just sniff a lot.
Yeah, just tweak, just right? Do a couple of tweaks, you're fine.
Just shake and sniff a lot. So I don't know it. To really kind of you really, it's just about the work, right? Like you just got to like focus on the work, focus on the human condition, and if you do that, I think hopefully you get the opportunity to keep doing more, and the more you do, the bigger roles you get. The bigger roles you get, then you no longer have to kind of like, you can just do more with it, right? You just say more, and that's the whole point. It's really just about having a voice and communicating stuff. So I'm happy to be part of like that was the thing. It's like, as an ethnic minority, there weren't many people on TV or film that you could look up to and kind of emulate. And so it's nice that that's changing. And it's nice that ethnic minorities are now starting to take up the leads of films and stuff, and then we're not just the secondary characters, the third characters or whatever. So, and as that starts happening, more and more, kids are gonna like not even have that question in their mind of like, why can't I be this? Why can't I be that?
Yeah, I grew up reading comic books and things like that, and there was such an underserving of minority representation in comic books, right? Every superhero was, tall, huge, muscular, white guy, and it's like, thankfully, we've had change and things have progressed, but obviously we want to continue that. But going back to kind of your family, because I always, before we dive into the work, I always like to get to know the person a little bit and know behind the work. And I read that your daughter is a member of the U.S. Junior Women's Gymnastics National Team. That's congratulations.
Yeah. Thanks, man. Thanks. And in fact, we were watching it just as we were doing this interview. But so Grace McCallum is my daughter's teammate, and Sarah Jancy, her coach, is there. She's the assistant coach for the U.S. team right now, like that's over in Tokyo. So yeah, she trains with she's part of that, and she trains with the national team, and she's a junior. She's 15, so she's not eligible. So
Right.
next year she'll be a senior and go through that whole thing. But yeah, it's pretty intense.
I mean, as a dad, you must be just kind of over the moon, right? You have something of an Olympian, kind of in the bloodline. That's got to be amazing.
Yeah, it's a trip because my wife was a dancer early on, but then she quit, and I wasn't really, I played football and in high school, but acting was my calling. So for her to be doing these things that I could never even imagine my body doing, it's pretty intense,
For sure.
You just picture her as just like this little thing, and she's like, and her body's just like, but she comes at it naturally. Like, I don't know when she was young, it was like, what do you want, for Christmas? Do you want like a doll? You want like, you want toys? You want this? And she's like, I want gravity boots. You're like, oh, okay. Like, I want gravity boots and a trampoline. And I'm like, all right. So she was like on a bar, like doing like crunches, like upside down crunches, and she just, that's her thing. Like, she
Wow.
loves moving her body through space, and she's just hardcore.
That's awesome. That's so awesome.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
and I read that your father was a musician. I found this fascinating, right? So your father was of Filipino, Chinese, Spanish descent, and your mother was German and Scottish descent. And then,
Wow, yeah, you did your research.
yeah, of course I have to. I have to. It's fascinating to me. Like, I can't imagine, like, what was that kind of like growing up? Because it seems like a lot of those maybe kind of clash, maybe kind of go together. What was it like kind of growing up in that household?
Yeah, well, going back to my mom's side of the family, who all have served and stuff, like I was like the little brown one, right? Because they're all like 6'4", like Dirk Square jaw, like big white guys, and that's the German Scottish side of
Right.
my family, and I was like the little brown one. So but that was the joke. But then also, that on top of that, I grew up in Hawaii, so you mix that in, and a lot of people early on thought I was Hawaiian, or which is a whole other thing. But growing up in Hawaii, it was cool. It was like a melting pot that's unlike the States, right? So you're growing up with Filipino, Chinese, Portuguese. White was actually the minority,
Mm,
right? So we teased each other and made fun of each other, and it wasn't very PC, but it was cool because it wasn't lethal. You know what I
right.
mean? Like it's not like your boss was like the white guy who was going to hold something over you, and your boss was like the Chinese Portuguese guy who you could tease, right? So it was just a different vibe. And then growing up, it was a trip. My dad, was a musician. And then my uncle was the first. He was on Broadway. He did music theater. He was like the first Asian American to take over Jonathan Price's role in Miss Saigon, as the engineer. Because before that, Jonathan Price was playing the engineer with like literally slant eyes and yellow face. So
Right.
it was pretty trippy. Anyway, so yeah, I grew up in a highly kind of artistic family. Um, my dad, would take me on the road with him because he'd be gone 6 months out of the year. So if I wanted to spend some time with him, like I'd just go on the road with him. So I'd grow up in watching the show from the light booth,
Mm,
whether it's in Anaheim, California, or in Canada where they're playing, or in Vegas, and I'm like this little little kid, like with all the showgirls I remember in Vegas, and they've just got like the tassels and like the big headdresses, and I'm backstage there. And I thought the coolest thing was not that, was that we got free soda. You know, I'm like, man,
living the high life, man.
Yeah, totally.
Is that kind of where you developed wanting to be on stage, wanting to be in front of the camera, wanting to be an actor? Is that where that comes from, or was that more down the road?
I mean, probably that's where it started. But I didn't. I mean, I've picked up music, so like as a hobby, I play drums or guitar, but I don't do it professionally. But I didn't want to pursue, music theater. I wanted to go into kind of straight drama. I just couldn't. As much as I love music theater, or some music theater, I just couldn't get with breaking in a song in the middle of a monologue, or, it wasn't something that I took to. So I went into straight drama. And I went to an all male academy, and like the all girls school was the ones that were putting on auditions for plays and stuff. So I figured that was like probably the best way to meet, girls growing up.
Of course.
So I think that was the start of it, right?
Plays a part in it. I did a little musical theater in high school too, because I noticed all the girls were there. So I get you.
Right.
A question from the audience is, where is it? There it is. From Jim. Did you ever want to do backstage crew kind of stuff before acting?
Yeah. So I did some backstage stuff with my dad's show. That was just fun, like kind of like, hey, mom and pop kind of help dad out with the shop, right? Kind of stuff. But when I went to college, it was a conservatory, and part of our training was doing stagecraft. So I learned how to build sets, sew costumes. We also ran the shows for the upperclassmen when we were freshmen and sophomores. So we'd be moving sets and helping with costume changes, and doing laundry after the so we did all of the stagecraft, and we ran the shows. And then, growing up with my dad's show, I did follow spots and some lighting cues and stuff like that. So I did get some behind the scenes for sure.
That's pretty cool. So now we can talk about, the work. So I'm curious, because one of your first, I was looking through, the IMDb's, the wikis, and one of your first credits goes all the way back 1994, White Fang 2. You played Peter. I'm curious, what are your memories from that experience? Like, was it what you expected? Was it not what you expected? What do you remember?
Yeah, that was my first film. And I just remember, like, right out of drama school, like, and then all of a sudden, I'm cast in this like Disney film, and to White Fang 2, with Ethan Hawke, and it's a Jack London, piece. So it was like pretty intense. And we shot some of it in Vancouver, and some of it in Aspen, Colorado. The biggest takeaway for me was I was so tripped out coming from the stage that, oh my God, it's so much better when you don't have to imagine that you're really outside, or that, that you're actually running through the forest, or that you're,
sure,
the set is the set. Like they actually built these Haida longhouses on the river. And so they were like scale, and you could go in them, and they had their bunks, and so it was pretty wild. Like I was pretty blown away by that. This is like a really bad story, but I remember one of the first scenes that we were shooting was my character is like running, and then like stops, and then he gets shot at, and they put squibs in the trees like by me, and it's a near miss, but I'm supposed to fall over, and they're shooting it in slow motion. So they're like, okay, we're doing this in slow motion. So, but during this in slow motion, so the squibs go off and you'll fall off the tree, and we got a mat here for you. So they put like the earplugs in, because the squibs are loud, and it's just like action, and then the squibs go off, and then I do this.
You act in slow motion.
I acted in slow motion. And they're like, cut. Like, no. You go in regular motion, and the cameras go in slow motion. The cameras are running at like higher frames, so you don't have to actually act in slow motion. And I felt so silly.
That's great. That's great.
Yeah.
I mean, what a way to learn.
Yeah, right, exactly. But that's, I went to drama school. I went to 4 years of drama school, and we're studying, Shakespeare and movement and speech and accents and sword fighting and studying text and just drilling down on all this stuff, poetry. But no one's teaching you about slow motion, and no one's teaching you like how to hit a mark or what a mark is, or,
right.
The difference between an agent and a manager, or just preparing you for the actual business. It's so you're in a bubble. So it is
yeah,
it is pretty funny.
I guess like to equate it to like saying, well, high school, you learn all these things, but you don't learn how to balance a checkbook. You don't learn how to, vote to register. Like you don't learn these critical life skills, things that you need to know. You just learn, math and science and English and things.
Right,
so,
right. How to do your laundry, or how to like grocery shop.
Exactly. I would love to say, so from an early age, you were real method, man. You were a method actor. Real, like, you living in that slow motion moment, man. That's awesome. I was in the Matrix, man. I was doing the Matrix in my mind. That's awesome. So jump a few years. 1997, you Starship Troopers. I mean, it's. I'm curious today. This is whatever. We won't date it, but it's been a while since then. But
yeah.
What are your feelings like when you think about that movie? When you think about the time, because it has such a cult following. I mean, there's still today memes circling the internet of Starship Troopers. What are your memories from that? Like, what was that?
There's like? People that role play it, like actually, LARP it, like so. Yeah, it was at the time, no one got it. Like, just people didn't get
right.
It. We thought we were doing like the next Star Wars. But I mean, I think the majority of us knew what Paul's, idea was. And so we knew what we were making in terms of, the subversive kind of elements of the movie.
Right.
And, the kind of propaganda element of the film. And we kind of were aware of that. So we thought it was like going to have all the sci-fi stuff and it was, but people didn't get it. Like, people just wanted another Star Wars. So people didn't really get that kind of deeper layer to the film that I think has since, people have finally gotten that. And that's what's allowed it to be a cult.
Right.
You have such a cult following. And, to this day, I know so many people who are like, it's one of their top sci-fi movies of all time because of it,
Yeah, I mean, there was a lot of social commentary to it. There was a lot of hidden, I don't want to say hidden messages, but just meaning behind certain things. Where on the face of it, it was very silly action, horror-esque. I mean, I wouldn't even put it horror, but just that sci-fi kind of like jump scare kind of stuff. But yeah, I think it has lived on because of how different it was to A, what it was expected to be, and B, just kind of what everything else was at that time. I think it's apart.
Paul Verhoeven is, I mean, he's a genius. Like he I mean, look at RoboCop and Total Recall. I mean, those are movies that are, saying something. I mean, they are what they are, and they're still like popcorn Hollywood films, but they're saying something more. They have much they have much deeper kind of resonance.
Yeah.
And that's what he's doing with Starship Troopers, you know. And I mean, even you know, Showgirls was Paul saying, you know what, okay, I'm gonna do like the worst, you know, B movie, late night Skinamax kind of film that you can imagine. And he set out to do that. Like, that wasn't just a mistake. That wasn't him making like, oh, oops, I made a really bad movie. That was conscious.
Yeah,
and
it walks the line of like gritty and parody. And it's sometimes you don't know which side of it you're on. You kind of weave back these very serious moments and then these very silly over the top moments. And a lot of those movies, RoboCop did it, you know, Starship Troopers, and you know, they're great movies. I mean, they're so in their time. Like, you watch it back and you're just like, yeah, I remember that time, and what it was.
But you know, like rewatching it, like Phil Tippett, the visual effects guru, who did the bugs for Starship. I mean, this guy did like the Tauntaun for Star Wars, the AT-ATs. He did like the he did the chessboard, you know, in the Millennium Falcon. Like he did all the heads in the cantina. So he did all the bugs for Starship Troopers and animated them. You know, some of it was puppets and some of it was stop frame and some of it was, you know, CGI. But it still holds up. Like the animation of the bugs still totally holds up.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I remember just being, because I'm arachnophobic, and I remember like getting the script and I'm like, wait a minute, we're fighting like giant spiders. Like, that's not going to be good. Like, but thank God they were kind of crab spiders as opposed to like furry, you know, giant fang-like tarantulas or something.
And I'm expecting, you know, in that time when there wasn't as much CGI as prevalent as it is today, I'm assuming there was a lot more physical stuff to work with, although it might look silly, you know, out of context. But
yeah, no, I mean, they had so they had a stunt guy who was missing a leg. And so they put a prosthetic on it, and so they could actually have the bug, like the bug head on a crane, come down and snap his leg off. And then he's like, to double me. And then they had my stunt double. There's that scene where the bug picks me up and is like shaking me upside down. So the gag is they strap a harness onto me, and then the harness goes through my leg, and that gets connected to the bug's, you know, head. And then they lift you on a crane and then just shake you around, and they're kind of tight on your face. They go up to the bug, you know, and then they got all the fake blood it's kind of coming down your face. So they're like, okay, we're gonna do the stunt guy first, and then we'll shoot yours after that. So they I guess they started shooting, and then they're like, oh, we're shooting with your stunt guy. Why don't you just go have lunch? So I start eating lunch, and then they're like, oh, we need you now to do the shot. And I was like, oh man, I just ate. Okay, well, whatever. I show up, they strap me in, they start shaking me around, and I'm screaming, and I'm upside down. We do a couple takes, and I'm just like, you know, just swinging for the fences. And the next thing, I black out. The next thing I know is like I kind of wake up, and I'm coming to on the ground. Oh. And they're like rushing over, untangling me from the bug jaws. And they're like, man, you lasted way longer than your stunt guy. And I was like, what? So apparently the reason why they had to bring me in so quick is because he passed out like on the first pass. Because you're upside down, you're screaming, you know, it's a whole, and it's like right after lunch, you're like, oh my God.
I mean, my God, I can't imagine. Like, I think of, like, you know, the flight simulators or like the astronaut trainers when they like put you in those machines and wave you all over the place. That must, I mean, part of that, I mean, it has to be kind of fun though, right? I mean, it's like, do you feel like a kid when you're like,
yeah, I mean, that's half the reason why I wanted to, you know, do what I do, is you just kind of get to, you know, I guess we're just like crazy where we're like, I don't know what I really want to do, so I'll just try to do everything. Yeah, like, you know, I get to, like,
everybody.
Yeah, I get to spend time like doing, like, you know, military training with Captain Del Dye, and then, you know, So it's fun. You know, we just get to do a lot of different fun things.
Oh, that's so cool. So from there, you kind of transitioned to start. You know, you're doing the movie stuff, and then started doing the TV stuff. Third Watch, which I mean was huge. I mean, huge. You did 131 episodes as Carlos. I mean, what a cool opportunity. I mean, what for you coming from doing more films and then coming into this role, was it a jarring experience to go from like filmmaking to TV making, or was it a pretty easy transition?
No, it was a weird transition. I remember so in films, you know, you've got a beginning, middle, and an end, right? And so as an actor, you kind of like look at your role, and you look at like how you arc things out, like just as a storyteller or whatever. You've got, you know, some place where you start, some place where you think you want to be, and some place where you end up, right? So that all transpires within the course of the movie. So I got, you know, I got Third Watch, and it's the same producers and writers as ER, and West Wing and stuff. So there's it's John Wells, and they're incredibly and smart, sharp people. And they wrote this amazing pilot, and you know, my character in it is the rookie, and I knew that the rookie was going to start one way and then kind of end up passing through the looking glass and stuff.
Sure.
So I tried to arc that out all in the pilot, you know. So I'm like, hey, how about by the end of the pilot, I like, you know, take off my hat and the tie, and I'm no longer the straight laced. And they're like, no, that's like way down the line. Like,
Right.
you know, this is the first episode. Like, you be this guy for a while, you know, like this is where you are, like live here, and then you kind of, you know, slowly kind of will work through that stuff. Like that's what's fun to watch as a TV show that's episodic. Like, so I was like, oh, right, like you have time to let these characters marinate and kind of, you know, go somewhere.
Right.
So that was definitely a kind of like an eye opener. And then how quickly you work in television. You know, you just got to be prepared. You don't have the luxury of the rehearsal and trial and error that you have in film. You know, so like a scene that might take a week to shoot in a movie, in TV, it's like you've got a couple hours. You know, so it's just, and then ultimately I loved that pace. Like I was just like, yeah, now, you know, when I go to movies, sometimes I'm like, that's a lot of wasted time. You know what I mean? Like,
sure,
we don't need to take this long to do it. But
yeah. Which actually leads into a great question from the audience. Do you like doing TV more, or do you like doing movies more? I think you kind of answered it, but I'll let you elaborate.
I like both. Like I do honestly like both, and I've been lucky enough to be able to vacillate between the two, you know. So you know, I can do Third Watch, and then, you know, I can do Adjustment Bureau with Matt Damon, or, you know, so like I'm still able to do some cool films. And a lot of the time, I mean, it's a little different now, but when I was coming up, it usually was like TV people stayed in their lane and movie people stayed in their lane. Right. But now it's definitely much more fluid. But when I was coming up, it wasn't. And so it was nice at the time that I was able to live in both worlds.
That's awesome. So just curious on the last thing I wanted to ask about Third Watch, you know, that the character of Carlos is, you know, Hawaiian-born Filipino American. I'm curious, you know, was that established before you were cast? Like, is that something you were auditioning for to match that, or was it something that like you kind of, because, you know, sometimes they'll change a character slightly to better represent the actor that they bring in. So I'm curious, which way was it? Was you to that or that to you?
Yeah, I think I think it was never kind of like defined as to exactly what ethnic background Carlos was, because he always was an orphan, and so it was always kind of ambiguous. But, you know, John Wells said something early on. He's like, careful what you guys talk about, careful what stories you tell us, careful what you say, because we'll use it in the show. It's fodder.
Right.
So I think they just took, you know, what my actual background is, which is confusing, and they just played that. They're like, what are you? Like, are you this? Are you that? Like, and you know, I'm like, I don't know. Okay. You know, I'm an orphan. Like, I don't exactly know who my dad was. Like, but, you know, so it was kind of like a happy accident. And again, they just use what's there, which I find is super liberating.
Yeah. Yeah, I can imagine. All right. Again, there's so much to dive into, man. I'm trying to get through it all because you have just such a great, long, varied career. As I'm looking through it, I'm like, oh, this is fascinating. This is fascinating. So you got to be, and excuse me if I geek out for a second, you got to be the voice of Batman. All right.
Yeah.
Beware the Batman. I mean, whoa. Like, what is that? Again, and I hate to like harp on like, oh, the person of color, the minority, the ethnicity, but like, if you look at a list of actors who've played him or voiced him, there's kind of a theme. It's a white guy. So
Yeah.
like when you get an opportunity like that, like, were you intimidated? Were you nervous? Like, what were you feeling being Batman?
Yeah. I had never, I think I was like happily ignorant in the sense that like I was just psyched. I had never done, you know, any major voiceover work for cartoons or anything like that. So I didn't know what I was, you know, headed into. But you know, I mean, that's like childhood fantasy number one, check.
Right.
Batman. Like I get to, you know, in fact, when I got it, I remember my son, who's now 12, I think he was like 3 or 4 at the time. He was like, I came home, and he was a huge Batman fan. And I came home, and I was like, you know, I got it, and I'm like, I got it. I'm Batman. You know, I'm Batman. And he looks at me and he's like, I'm Batman. You know what I mean? So I'm like, no, I'm Batman. Like I'm playing Batman. And he's like, no, I'm Batman. It's like, oh, right. Of course. And so it was like a whole thing for a bit. And then he finally brought home a Batman t-shirt, one for him and one for me. And he's like, hey, we're both Batman. I was like, oh.
That's adorable. Oh my God, that's so adorable.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
And
yeah, to be able to voice Batman, I'll just never forget like the audition. I'm in there, and they're like, okay, I did the scene with who's going to be Alfred J.B. Blanc, who's awesome, and they're like, okay, that was great, you know. Okay, now, do the sound when you throw a batarang. And I was like, what? They're like, do the sound as if you're throwing a batarang, and I was like, are you kidding me? Like, I'm like totally geeking out. Like, I would do this. I did this all the time as a kid. I'm like, huh, right? You know, now do the sound you're Batman getting hit. Like now, and then when the ultimate is, okay, I had the line, I'm Batman. And it was like, to be able to say that, like, I freaked out a little bit. Yeah, for sure.
There's people in the chats, and I wasn't gonna add it. They're like, "Can you do the voice? Can you be Batman for a moment? Can you appease the audience? You got it in you?"
Yeah, I'm Batman.
I mean, beautiful. We're gonna clip that and we're gonna use it. That was perfect. And then obviously Kaz is in the chat. He's a good friend of ours. He's saying soy Batman because, you know, obviously
soy
soy Batman. So I'm curious.
Batman.
Yeah, there you go. Perfect. There's so many different incarnations of it, and every person brings a uniqueness, a different take on it. I'm curious, in your mind, as the actor, as the person bringing this character to life, what was your take on it? What was your approach on it? What was your variation of it? I mean, what did you bring to Batman?
Yeah, so we looked at Batman, and we talked with the creators like Mitch Watson and Glenn Murakami and stuff, where this Batman we laid heavily on the detective element of Batman, first of all. So we really wanted to tell detective stories, and Batman as a crime fighting detective, where he was analyzing clues and really kind of like working those angles, as opposed to the superhero, who's got all the gadgets and stuff.
Right.
So that's one that we focused on. But the cooler element of that, and the second thing is we focused on his relationship to lesser known criminals, like Pig and Toad or Croc or Magpie, like things like that. But on a psychological level, we played Batman as three different people, three different personalities within the same person. So you have Batman, who's the Dark Knight. Then you've got Bruce Wayne, and then you've got public Bruce Wayne. So private Bruce Wayne, public Bruce Wayne,
right,
and Batman. So we worked on three distinct personalities, and you've got Bruce Wayne, who plays up this kind of playboy. Then you've got private Bruce Wayne, who's super troubled and conflicted and damaged. You know what I mean? And then you've got Batman, which is his coping mechanism for all of that. And what I loved that people hopefully got is as the series went on, you see that private Bruce Wayne, is constantly trying to deprive himself of more humanity so that he can stay as Batman longer. Like eat less, drink more power shakes, and just kind of like tweak his diet so that he can be crime fighting longer. And he starts spending more time as Batman than he does as Bruce Wayne, and he starts losing his shit. Like as the season goes on, and the longer he spends as Batman, you see him start to slowly kind of lose his morality.
Right.
So I found that like super interesting, and I love that element of the Batman that I did, and the Batman that we brought to Beware the Batman.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
From the chats, Gamer Sly says it's probably my personal favorite Batman show. So.
Oh wow!
There you go.
Man. Yeah.
You got big fans. He also says, what characters or events would you have liked to see in Beware the Batman if it had gotten more seasons? Characters or events you'd like to have seen?
I would have loved to have like some connection to. I mean, we had Katana, but I would have loved to see, if Robin ever entered into the equation and what that would have looked like, or the Joker, or the Riddler, like I know that we wanted to focus on the lesser known villains, but I think it would have been nice to have like a couple of seasons where you focus on them, and then all of a sudden you bring in the canon of Batman villains and just have those two worlds kind of collide and see what that would be like.
Sure.
But we had Deadpool and Killer Croc, and we had some, those were some of the best episodes, like with with Deadpool or Killer Croc. So yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. I mean, I thought we definitely had more in the tank, so I'm sad that we didn't get to do more, but I think the CGI just really tripped people out.
Yeah.
And it kind of was a sticking point. But as with a lot of stuff, early on, we kind of got a lot of flack before people really watched the show of like, oh man, it's going to be, CGI Batman, and it's not, Kevin Conroy, and it's not, it's what, people were already kind of down on it.
They make their judgment before they actually see the product. They don't give it a chance, which is something
And then
always tell.
Right, and then it came out, and then I think people started to like it, but by that time, it was going to get canceled, and then people are like, "Why are you canceling it?" Like, "Oh, typical. They never give stuff a chance." And you're like, "Well, I don't know. It's just that kind of
Yeah.
It's a difficult position to be in. And I also think that, we were on Cartoon Network when we started, and the show that we were doing wasn't really a Cartoon Network show. Like, it was more, I think it was more Adult Swim, which
Right.
it ended up going to. But I think if we started there, or started now, like on one of the streaming platforms that they have, if it was like on a Netflix or something like that, or like whatever the Warner Brothers streaming service is, I think it would have probably done a lot better.
Sure. Sure. Jim wanted to know too in the comments. Was there like when you came to the voice of Batman? Was it just like the first thing that came out and that was it, or did you have different iterations of it? Did you try different types of it? I mean, how did you come across? How did you come to the voice of Batman?
Yeah, I think I just try to like figure out where the lower register of my voice is, and the kind of monotone. I mean, because I think the monotone is there to keep to keep the illusion up of, it's ambiguous. It's like dark. It's just kind of like, but I didn't want to go super gravelly, or barky, or mainly because it's a hard thing to keep up. I mean, it's you got to try to find a voice that you
Sure.
that you can still have fun with, and not like just be trashed at the end of the day with. And then I really think that it wasn't solely my Batman voice. I think it's when I went to Bruce Wayne and then went to public Bruce Wayne, because they had you audition all of those. I think
Right.
that the three of those voices is what probably locked it down for me, not just solely my Batman voice.
Right. Right. No, that's
Yeah.
awesome. And we're running short on time. My God, like I've been having so much fun, kind of diving into this because I mean, like I wanted to touch on you did Avengers Assemble, you were on Scream. One of the favorite things, personally, my favorite things that I've seen you in was Frequency. I was so
Ah,
bummed that
yeah.
Frequency did not continue on because I was hooked. I love that sci-fi stuff. I love the challenging of reality and like I grew up on Back to the Future, so right, messing with the
Right.
past and it messes with the present and all these different things. So I really truly appreciated your work on that and what you did there. But before we go, we should talk about what you're in now, right? I mean,
Yeah.
you're currently on the kind of revival, rebooted sequel, whatever you want to call it, for Disney Plus. Turner and Hooch. You play
Hmm.
James Mendez, who is the chief of the U.S. Marshals. Um, were you a fan? I'm just curious of the original work. I mean, is it something that was in your realm? I mean, when this came up, was it like, oh, I got to jump at that, or what?
Yeah. I mean, like what? I mean, I don't know of anyone who doesn't have a soft spot for Turner and Hooch, like the movie. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Mhm.
you watched it and you're like, Tom Hanks, slobbery, you know, uh, disruptive dog who drinks beer, like, done. You know what I mean? Like, so everyone that I've ever brought it up to, or that I talked to about it, they love the original. So, you know, the idea of being able to be involved in a reboot and kind of do it with Disney Plus. Um, so back in the saddle with Disney again, and you know, to carry on this kind of tentpole property of theirs
Yeah.
was a big honor, and it was like, oh man, like, are you kidding? Like, that would be great. And Matt Nix, um, who I'd worked with before on Burn Notice, I know is probably one of the smartest guys working in television today. So he was the writer creator of it, setting it instead of in the detective realm where, it can get pretty dicey, but it's the Marshalls. And so they're, for a Disney Plus show with a dog, it's like perfect, right?
Right.
You're like going after, you know, forgeries and money laundering and things like that. Like, so it's very, they're very clearly bad guys, that, so it's good and bad, there's no gray with
Mm.
the Marshalls. So it just seemed like a great recipe. Then McG, directed the pilot, who's, you know, directed all the Charlie's Angels movies. So you've got all this high octane. We've got some car chases in there that are like, what is happening? Like it's hardcore, you know. And so ultimately, and it's not a reimagining of Turner and Hooch. It's kind of a continuation.
Right.
It's like we pick up, you know, years later when Tom Hanks's son is basically all grown up and, you know, is now a U.S. Marshal, and the story kind of launches from there. And he inherits like Hooch 2.0, you know, like a new Hooch. And he's basically, you know, kind of like from the grave kind of saying, hey, I want you to have this dog because you need this more than you realize. And so it's got that frequency kind of vibe with this like pulling of the heartstrings, where you've got this relationship between a father who's passed away and a son, you know, trying to kind of like do his father proud by just living a good life and doing the right thing. And then you've got, you know, a family fun with the slobbery dog who's always into mischief. And then you've got car chases and kind of crimes of the week to solve. You know, it really kind of has something for everybody. And I think it's going to be one of those shows that the whole family can sit down, like mom, dad, the kids, and, you know, the parents aren't going to be sitting there going like, oh my God, when is this over?
Right.
And the kids are going to love it, and it's just be a fun time for everybody. So I'm and I have 3 kids, so I'm super psyched to be involved in something that I can watch, you know, with my whole family. And the team behind it is amazing, and Josh Peck and all the other actors are top notch. And Disney is just a great company, and they do it they do it right. They're classy, and they make really good content, high production value. So, you know,
Sure. Yeah, and
what more could you want?
right. And I, you know, I watched the first episode, which is on Disney Plus right now, and you have quite a few scenes where you're really interacting with the dog. I mean, he is up in your junk. Like he is.
Yeah.
What was that like to be? I mean, he's not a little poodle by any stretch. So like, what was it like having that big dude like all over you?
I remember like the first day we were doing pre-production, they're like, okay, it's going to be, you know, your rehearsal with the dogs. And it's like, we're doing this thing with the dog, and they're like, okay, here's your cup, you know? And I'm like, what? Like, yeah, you don't want like 100 and, you know, what are they, 120, 130 pound, like
Sure.
animal, like stepping on your stuff. And I'm like, oh, it's going to be that kind of thing, you know? But they're brutes, man. They're super brutal. But they're mushes, you know, like they'd be amazing service dogs.
Right.
If they weren't so lovable. Like they're not vicious, you know. They're super sweet animals. But yeah, they get up in your stuff, and like, you know, a lot of the scenes, you know, you've got meat snacks in your pocket and squeaky toys, and, you know, it's you end up coming off the set like just reeking of drool and meat snacks, like, and like weird baby food that they put on your face so they lick your face. And, you know, it's hard. It's tough stuff, because you've got, you know, you're trying to do, and my character's like the straight guy, like that's what's, you know,
Right.
he's like the
Chief
boss.
Yeah.
Right. And so you're trying to do that, keep a straight face, and they've got, you know, toys for the dog, like they're just waving them in your, like behind you, so that the dog is like looking at them, you know, so it looks like the dog's looking at you, but they're really looking at these toys. So it's like, you know, super distracting, and there's all sorts of crazy stuff that's going on. It's like, we, you know.
do are you ever in a scene where you're like, all right, I'm acting, I'm serious, and you're doing, and there's like you said, baby foot in your face, and there's squeaky toys going off, and you're like, what am I doing with my life? What am I doing right now?
Exactly. That's those moments where you're just like, what have I decided to do for a living? Like, what was I thinking? You know, like I have like a little meat snack in my pocket, hoping that this dog is going to go for it. Like,
That's so good. I literally have a million more questions for you, but we are at the top of the hour. I do not want to hold you longer than we asked. I so much appreciate your time. Let me real quick before we let you go. Where can people follow you? Where can they support you? What can they see? What projects do you have coming up? You got the floor, man. Promote yourself.
Yeah, no, Instagram, Anthony.Ruivivar. Check out Turner and Hooch on Disney Plus. New episode every Wednesday. And we've got 12 episodes. So, the more people watch and stream, the better. And hopefully we'll get a second season, get to do it again. I'll be directing my first film coming up with Bruce Campbell. You might dig that guy, right?
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure. So, starring Bruce Campbell. So I'll be starting that, in the next month or so. And then hopefully we do Turner and Hooch second season. So
absolutely.
Thanks for the forum and I appreciate everyone's service, and I did what you do, man.
Oh, thank you so much. No, I appreciate your time and please, hopefully, and I did have questions about the directing stuff because I wanted to dig into that. But you know what? The next time, hopefully you come back, you promote the movie. We'll talk about the movie. We'll get into the directing of it and have a whole nother conversation and dig deep into that,
sure.
Man. This was absolutely awesome. Guys, this has been our guest, Anthony Ruivivar. God damn it. I had it too. I had it in my head. Whatever. Anthony. He's been awesome. And we're going to toss to a short break. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after this.
Right on.
You're listening to the sounds of WTF Nation Radio.
Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. Hey guys, you're tuning into WTF Nation Radio. This is Pop Culture Warrior. Oh man, what a show, what a show. Radar, my main man.
What's up, man?
You with me, buddy?
I'm here, buddy.
You with me? He's with me.
I am.
There he is. There's that handsome man.
Yeah,
that was a fun conversation with Anthony, man. I learned quite a lot. And like I had so many questions that we didn't even get a chance to touch on, honestly, because he has such a long filmography and I was interested in so much of his work, but I wanted to dive in on his process and kind of like his look, how he thinks about how the industry has changed and all these different things, but we were just having such a good time talking about all his work, and that was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. He told me on the break that he enjoyed the time, and we're definitely gonna have him back. Definitely gonna have him back in the future to talk about more of his work and get to know the guy. I mean,
yeah, just bullshit around.
It was awesome. It was a lot of fun. Mr. Radar.
Yes.
Would you like to help me put a button on this show? Because no offense to you all, I feel like hammered dog shit, and I want to go pound some NyQuil and have me some fever dreams.
Well, I mean, if you wanted to pound NyQuil, I mean, that's kind of what we did in Iraq when we had nothing better to do. I'm just kidding. We weren't like robo tripping per day. But no, I'm just kidding. No, better stop that. Statute limitations is over.
Take us through the week, my friend.
All right. Well, you have been listening to Pop Culture Warrior with CQ and Radar. Tomorrow, it's Tuesday night. Do this every Tuesday. Well, no, not next Tuesday.
Not next Tuesday.
I'll get to that. I'll get there. So tomorrow is a Don's Day, a day of no scheduled activities. We will be taking the day off because it's Wednesday. That's what we do. Thursday night. Is Ice back with Sergeant's time yet? No, I think he's got 1 week. Anyway, he's off. Maybe. If it comes up, I don't know. These guys do all kinds of crazy shit and don't tell fucking old Radar nothing about nothing. So, anyway. Thursday night, Sergeant's time. Ice, Spanky. Might be there, might not. Might be some Pop Culture Warrior rewind. Might be something crazy. I don't know.
You never know.
You never know. This is a world of secrets and fun around here. Friday, though. Friday. Cause. Friday Night Freedom. Ice is in the mountains. I just got word ice is in the mountains.
I feel like that's a code phrase. I repeat, ice is in the mountains. Ice is in the mountains. The cooler runneth over.
The cooler runneth over. He's out there looking for the mountains of Bush or something. Just saying. So, all right. So ice is in the mountains. Somewhere in the Smoky Mountains. They're all smoky right now. Oh my God. So I live in the mountains, right? Or on the edge of the mountains. Mm-hmm. It's fucking smoky as shit, dude. Y'all need to put your fires out there in like California or whatnot, where all these fires is going. Like we have like a mile of visibility and I can't see nothing. And my allergies, my nose is going crazy. So put y'all's fires out. If you come to the mountains, if you come on vacation to where I live, don't light my shit on fire.
I mean, that'd be nice. That'd be nice.
Yeah, I don't go to fucking Kansas or wherever your boring ass is from, fucking Karen. You can't ride buffalo, and you can't light my mountains on fire. That's all I'm saying.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right.
And that brings us
Friday Night Freedom. You have the freedom to not light my mountains on fire. That's gonna be Kaz, Pookie. They got some good shit going on. Okay, check them out. Now, Saturday, Sunday's a weekend. Y'all take it off. We take it off. That's how we roll around here. Monday, the Monday edition. Maybe. Ice in the mountains. I don't know if it'll be like.
Depends if he's got reception or not.
Yeah. If he's got it, he might. I don't know. I live in the mountains. Do have cell phone service all the time. You guys figure it out. Okay. Tuesday night, though. Next Tuesday, we're taking the night off.
That's right.
Somebody wanted to go on vacation.
I mean, you know, I work hard. I deserve it.
And I miss it way more than you do. I miss Tuesday nights way more than you do with my stupid job. So don't even worry about it.
But yeah, we'll be off August 3rd, which is next week. But August 10th, we are returning and have a new camera. That's the first thing. Yes. But secondly, I'm very excited. Let's real quick. Our guest, August 10th, is if you know YouTube. I mean, you've honestly probably seen this guy has been blowing up. Like he's been shared all over Facebook. I mean, he's on YouTube. He's his stuff has been shared repeatedly. He goes by the name Frankly Built on YouTube. Basically, this guy 3D prints like full on working replicas of a lot of the cool props a lot of the stuff that I buy from stores. Like this guy makes. And he makes them functioning. He built a full-on, like, Iron Man Mark 85 or whatever the hell it is. Fucking opens and closes and lights up, and it has the infinity. Like, it's crazy what this guy has built. And he has an incredible channel that shows you how he does it, all the different pieces he does. The guy's got an incredible story, and he's going to be on the show. We're going to talk all about it, and we'll see if I can get him to make me something.
Yeah, like an infinity gauntlet that actually works when you snap.
Yeah, I need a little something for the where is it? Right. Well, yeah, that's my new piece right there. I got me an Imperial Stormtrooper Black Series. Yeah, man. Yeah, jealous. Got a great deal on it too. Anyway.
3D print your own, you get it for really cheap. Yeah. But anyway, and you can make it like light up and shit. Just don't fucking put it on and like take it go to the range. You're just gonna be wasting ammo. Yeah. Anyway, back to the story. Dude, that week, I need to check my schedule. I may not be able to be here because that is the Sturgis Motorcycle Rally.
Oh, wow.
So I need to see. I'm not sure what is going on for that. Cool. I'll let you know. I may not be here. I may or may not. We'll figure it out. But in the meantime, looks like we're not going to be back till August 10th.
August 10th, we will be back, guys. Keep engaging with us. You know, keep hitting us up on the page. Please, one last plea. This is the last time you'll hear me say it for this year. Vote for us. Podcast Awards. www.podcastawards.com. Register. It takes seconds to register. They don't use your information for anything other than to just count votes, and then they delete all your information once the period is over. We are in the entertainment category as well as the People's Choice category, and if you are so inclined and want to show some love to WTF Nation, Sergeant's time is in the news and politics category. So we would love your votes. We would love your support. We want to make it to the final cut so that we can sit in front of the judge and show why we're the greatest podcast in the nation, WTF Nation. Love you guys, and I don't know, man. You got anything else?
No, just let's have at it, man.
Yeah.
Enjoy your vacation, everybody. We'll see you back here in 2 weeks.
We'll see you guys soon. I'm off to go pound some NyQuil. Good night, everybody.
Bye. See you.